Hi, everyone. Good morning or afternoon, wherever you are, and thank you so much for being here with us today. My name is Danae Robert. I'm a Ventures Associate at Plug and Play, working in new materials, packaging, and sustainability. First, let me introduce you to Plug and Play if you don't know already. Plug and Play started with humble beginnings. Our founder and CEO, Saeed Amidi, owned a rug store on University Avenue in Palo Alto. The first floor was all rugs, and the second floor he would rent to different startups. PayPal came by, but PayPal couldn't pay rent anymore. So Said offered to invest in 1% of their company instead. You can imagine that he does not regret that choice today. And a few others followed. Similar to PayPal and similar to a workspace, Said would see them grow and he would invest in the companies. Today, we're more than that. We are a VC. We invest in over 200 startups worldwide. We also have a corporation innovation platform. So corporations come to us with ideas or challenges, and what we do is select the top startups from our ecosystem that fit their focus. Finally, we also have accelerator programs. We run over 60 accelerator programs worldwide and in different industries. We have a strong portfolio. We have 14 unicorns under our belt and many exits. Honey was one of them. It was acquired by PayPal last year for $4 billion. And we're very excited to have new ones coming up in 2021. We have 32 locations worldwide and growing, our last one being Topeka, Chicago, and Fargo. We hope that these hubs enable innovation and connections between these large corporations, main players, and startups in the space. Today, we have over 35,000 startups in our ecosystem and growing. We source every day from different financial stages, different locations, and different industries, from software to hardware. We have 18 verticals, including energy, mobility, food and beverage, and our last newest one, an exciting one, being animal health. Today, we're collaborating between the retail and the sustainability vertical. We are excited to promote the startups at the intersection of the sustainability and retail vertical. These companies have the ability to think outside of the box and to truly innovate and revolutionize the current system. So connecting these startups with the main players in the space is key if you want to move forward and at a somewhat faster pace. And we've seen it already. Bolt Thread has worked with Patagonia back in 2016. Adidas worked with Allbirds, a somewhat later stage company, and Pengaya just announced their collaboration with Kintra Fibers, which we're very excited to have here today as well. Plug and Play wants to continue, encourage, and assist in these connections, collaborations, and introductions. We hope that this event is the first to many other ones on sustainable fashion this year. And the few key concepts were important to us from the start. One, we wanted to avoid greenwashing at all costs. We want everyone to learn from this event, even if you're an expert in the space. And because of that, we wanted to focus on 3 topics: textiles, dyes, and resales. We also wanted this event to be as transparent and engaging as possible. And so we are live. So hopefully we don't have too many technical issues. So bear with us. Unfortunately, because of time, we won't have any Q&A, but we will have polls. So if you want an introduction or being connected to the startups, just click yes when the poll come up after each startups. That being said, I hope that you enjoy this event as much as we love creating its content. And now I'll pass it to my colleague, Sophia, to introduce the schedule. Thank you so much. Enjoy.
Hi, all. So as you can see, here's our quick agenda. We have a jam-packed schedule today, so I'm just going to move right along to the next slide so that we can get started. I'm Sophia Willis. I'm the program manager of new materials and packaging, as well as sustainability here at Plug and Play. And I'm here to introduce our first panel. So our first panel is going to be, during this discussion, we're going to talk about new technologies and how to adopt these new technologies. We'll be addressing cross-company collaboration and how fashion companies can adopt new technologies into existing large-scale supply chains. Our panel will include Suzanne Lee, the founder and CEO of Biofabricate, Amanda Cattermole, a chemical and sustainability consultant and expert in circular strategies, and Julian Herve, the Vice President of Product Innovation and Eco-Responsibility at Lacoste. It'll be moderated by Jane Martin, with over 20 years of experience in sourcing and product development at Gap, Banana Republic, and Old Navy. She is an expert in garment development and sourcing with a focus on sustainable materials. We're so excited for this panel, and without further ado, welcome Julian, Suzanne, Amanda, and Jane.
Thank you, Sophia. Hi, everyone.
Hey.
Okay, so we have some wonderful questions for our panelists today, and I'm going to actually invite Amanda to respond first to the first question, and then Julian and Suzanne to jump in, because I think they all, with their different perspectives, will have so much to say. So what would you say is the main issue with textile development facing the fashion industry today? Amanda.
Hi, everyone. Well, I think that fundamentally we produce too many clothes at an enormous cost to the environment. We don't wear them for very long and they end up in landfills. But let me focus on the first question or the first response. So unfortunately, when you make clothing, it takes an awful lot of resources in the form of energy, water, and chemicals. So for example, several hazardous chemicals are used in textile manufacturing, including heavy metals, phthalates, APOs, and they will pollute the water unless they are cleaned up prior to discharge. Textile processing uses lots and lots of water, and unfortunately, we do tend to get a lot of polluted rivers because of that. Also, there's a lot of excess energy, and often the energy comes from coal-mined facilities, which increases greenhouse gas emissions. And then finally, unfortunately, when you use textiles and when you make textiles, you have to wash those chemicals off, and there's a huge amount of waste that is a result of that. Other types of waste include fabric, when you cut the fabric and make it into clothing. So we generate waste all along the textile supply chain. So in regard to not wearing clothes for very long, fast fashion has really pushed clothing to the edge where we want more and more and more of the same stuff very, very cheaply. And again, that plays havoc with natural resources. And then finally, too many clothes end up in the landfill. The average American discards about 80 pounds of clothing per year, and we're not doing much with that, although fundamentally that is changing. And I'll share more about that a little bit later.
Thanks, Amanda. Suzanne, do you have anything to add to that question?
I mean, Amanda's done a great quick summary there of the key issues, I think. I mean, you know, my focus is very much around biomaterials, and one of the things that I would say, just speaking to material development in general, is the time it takes. So, you know, the fashion industry obviously is very focused on sourcing, you know, for the here and now, for this season, next few weeks, few months, but material development happens on a different timeline. And so one of the issues, and, you know, I think we're feeling this very much coming out of 2020, where everyone was so, you know, in a good way, now really looking to see where they can address sustainability through textile sourcing. That's also, of course, bringing new investment into new material development, but it's also creating a little bit of frustration around the availability of some of these new materials. And so, you know, I think that there's a job to be done there around setting expectations around how long it takes to develop a new material, which speaks to all of the needs that you might have as a brand. And traditionally, we've looked to some of the biggest chemical companies like DuPont, for example, for material innovation or textile innovation. And those kinds of organizations have the luxury of thousands of scientists, huge infrastructure already on the ground, and experience in producing materials. And we're now looking to a generation of startups to put forward similar solutions in much shorter timeframes with less experience and less money. So I think that that's a key thing to bear in mind as we talk about material innovation, is what is realistic, in what time frame, what can we expect in terms of sourcing materials here and now, and what might we have to wait a little bit longer for, so 3 to 5 years out.
Great. That's great. And Amanda's brought up waste. You speak about the time it takes to develop some of these. Julian, how about from your perspective?
Yeah, I will be mirroring, I think, what Amanda said, because, I was very surprised when she was speaking that I was very familiar with some words like heavy metals and chemicals and this kind of thing. And I come from, the textile industry. And if I come back 20 years earlier, it was only a question of having the right product made with a producer, with a supplier. And if you know the supplier, that was great at that time. And now I'm very surprised, because I think that's the main challenge for the companies, from the company side, is that we have to be expert from every step of the product development, from the farmers where the cotton is grown, to the dyeing, to the knitting, to the spinning, to everything. And we have to be expert, because we owe that to the consumer. Clearly, we are responsible not only to give him the nicest products in the world, but at the same time that we need to give him all the information that he needs to know how we made it possible, from, once again, the fields of the cotton fields to the store. And so that's very exciting, but very challenging, because we have to master the whole supply chain now, and to be expert for tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, tier 4. And I think it's our responsibility. But at the same time, the biggest challenge I think we have these times.
Julian, I love that aspect, because transparency, we know, is has been such a barrier to so many things in the industry, in particular when it comes to sustainability. Suzanne, next question's for you. Biomaterials do not always mean better for the planet. Do these new materials and technologies have significant better LCAs than what is currently on the market?
It's a good question, Jane. And I think it will actually, surprise some people that we might say that not all biomaterials are better for the planet, right? I think that's the first point to make, is that there has been a bit of an assumption that if it's bio, it must be better. And also, just when we talk about these technologies or biomaterials in general, we're talking to a vast landscape of materials that includes everything from, like a polycotton is a biomaterial, right? Animal leather is a biomaterial. So there are many things that fall under that very generic term. And so you can't speak to, yes, all biomaterials have a better LCA, because you've got to look at it on a case-by-case basis. And when we look at some of the most recent, I would say, biomaterial innovation, it's been around the field of leather and looking at alternatives to animal leather. Mm-hmm. And also moving away from plastics, right? So I think those are two of the leading charges that people are looking for innovation around. But in so doing, you may be also seeing people moving, okay, we can move away from the animal to produce a leather-like material, but we might actually be bringing plastics into that mix, right? So we're seeing a whole bunch of innovations, which I think have had a lot of press, where you see some waste agricultural material being mixed with something like a polyurethane. And now we have something that we can market as vegan, as coming from a waste resource, as animal free. But there are other questions there around, well, okay, what's its end of life? Because now it's no longer 100% polyurethane, which may be recyclable, but actually because of the bio mixed with what could still be a petrochemical input, its end of life is difficult, if not straight to landfill still. So each of the instances of bio innovation really need to be explored and taken at a case by case. And then I think if you look at the whole area of biotech, biofabricated materials, we don't yet know what the end of life or the full LCA is, because the majority of companies, and they're mostly startups in that space, they have yet to publish. They have yet to actually scale the material to the point where they're able to fully declare, okay, this is now a fully locked down, scaled material. This is the full life cycle assessment. And that then enables us to compare it to other competitor products on the market. And you'll probably hear that from some of the startups that we're going to hear from this morning, which is that when you're in material development, things like chemical inputs could be changing on a weekly basis. So in order to have that sort of end view about what the full LCA is, you're not going to arrive at that until you've reached a locked down, scaled process. And that doesn't help brands in the short term who are trying to understand, well, is this material better than that one? But it is something that we have to learn to live with and partner with in order to understand new material innovation. And what is what's the likelihood? How should we think about where the potential impacts might lie? Is it water? Is it energy? Is it the chemistry? What might be the potential end of life? So unfortunately, there's no simple answer to the question. You really need to look at each innovation on its own merits and really work to understand, with the best knowledge that they have as a team, what is the expected benefit to a particular technology.
Oh, it feels like all of this is moving so fast. And if you take your eye off the ball for a minute, it changes again. So yes, and I think this probably leads into the next question you've already touched on in your first answer, which is, why do these materials and innovation take so long to scale and go to market? So we read about them, they all sound exciting when we see them in an article online somewhere, but the reality is it just takes forever, if at all, we see them in the market. So what is your perspective on that, Suzanne?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I've been on the kind of development side of this for a long time. And what I've learned, certainly with biology and the sort of biomaterial space, is that very often it's the coming together of many complex technologies. It's not one technology. So, if we're trying to innovate something like leather, without an animal, we're talking about designing and engineering the DNA of a material like collagen. And that's cutting edge fundamental science. Then we have to take it into fermentation. And that's a whole field where you need to sort of understand how you would then optimize the production of that protein at scale. Then you need to take your protein and put it into material science. And, you can end up with multiple competencies within one organization, all of whom have to be absolutely at the sort of pinnacle of their field in order to deliver something that's going to give you the quality, the scale, and ultimately the price that you're looking for. So most of the companies that we've been tracking for the last 15 years, it's taken them at least a decade to get to the point where they actually have a prototypical material that's ready to go to market in something like the quantities that begin to be, kind of realistic for the fashion industry. It just takes time. Unless you're doing something very simple, like tweaking an existing recipe that can be done in a matter of months, that's one thing. But if we're talking about fundamentally new innovation from the ground up, it just takes time, and it's not always about more money getting you there faster. It's actually about bringing the right competencies together in the first place.
All right, thanks, Suzanne. That's great. We totally understand. It's there's so much out there, and which are the things that get to market is so important. Julian, this one's for you. Given your time at Lacoste, what are some of the wins and challenges of integrating some of these new technologies into your line as a creative person?
Yeah. First, I like the word you use, wins, because Each time we manage to have a new eco-responsible, sustainable product in the collection, that's a win. That's clearly something more, you know, and that's very hard to do, and because there are these big challenges. And I like what you just said, Suzanne, with quality, scale, time. That's the same, and that's I will be asking, you know, for the startups. I will ask them to have something qualitative to propose to me. We will be discussing the price, and I'm not in. It's not I'm not interested, but we will discuss the scaling up of this, because lots of people come to us and say, okay, we have this beautiful solution for you, and we may be okay to make a 500 pieces product for you in 6 months. I said, okay, what about my 10 million polos I have to do, and this kind of thing. So I'm taking the extreme, but that's kind of thing. But I have some examples with, for instance, someone working with the orange materials, and we say, okay, when can we go further? And I want to do tests with you. And he said, okay, we have to wait for the next harvest, and I don't know how successful it will be. So we have this kind of issues, you know, of being mature enough and being aligned with our goals, because you have to align with our business constraints, with our qualitative constraints, but before everything, you have to be aligned with our vision, our brand DNA, and what we want to provide to the consumer. Because there is one thing that we won't compromise, that's the promise we have to the consumers. And if we say that we want to have, you know, the best qualitative polos in the world, and we have someone coming and saying, okay, that's the best solution I have for you, but maybe you have to compromise with what you offer, we can't do that. And I have this other example with natural dyeing. That's something we want to go into, and that's something we want to explore. But the first test we are doing with the color fastness and this kind of thing, after 5 washing cycles, we say, my qualitative departments, okay, we can't go further with them. Mm-hmm. And that's, you know, that's something very tricky for me, because we try the solution, but we need time. They need time to improve, to align with what our standards are, and with the scaling we want to do with that to improve. Another example is what we are doing with recycled cotton, based on post-consumer leftovers, which is very great that we can achieve that, and we want to go into this circularity system for sure. And people came and say, okay, we have this polo for you, it's 100% recycled cotton. And of course, the touch and feel, the quality, the look was not there. And I love the eco-responsibility part of it, but it has to combine and to align with our brand vision and the brand standards. And so it's a balance. It's a discussion we need to have. And in the end, we try to have this polo with I think 30% of recycled cotton, which was great, and we are very happy with the result. But you know, it's a lot of discussions back and forth and compromise, and knowing that we don't want to compromise with our customers. So biggest challenge is to make this understood by the startups, and to align with, and to make them enter into our systems and make them understand what the objectives are.
Julian, you bring up a great point, because quality, we certainly with any of these technologies can't actually trade off quality, because of course, if you don't have the quality, how can you keep your Lacoste polo for 10 years and not have to buy a new one, right? And that's part of contributing to waste. So I think that's definitely something to keep in mind, and very, very important. Suzanne, time, price, and scale are 3 of the things that we've talked about that are currently limiting the adoption of the new technologies. What are some of the technologies that you see as being easier currently as you kind of look across the space right now? Maybe you can chat a little bit to some that you feel will be easier, or some that you feel have already been adopted in the fashion world.
Well, I think that there's a few examples that we hear about a lot from brands, and we see that have been out there for a while now. And I would give an example is Piñatex as being one of them. Banana fibers as well. So banana tex, Piñatex, they got something in common there, which is that these are readily sourceable waste crop biomaterial fibers that can be comparatively simply formed into a sheet material, right? Either a yarn or something that can be formed, through some kind of non-woven process, and then with some minimal level of an additional ingredient to bind it together and to give it a surface finish, you are able to put them into products like shoes or accessories quite quickly and offer the consumer an alternative to something that might have previously been wholly plastic or wholly animal leather, for example. So things like those materials, I think, have led the way, showing other innovators. They may not perform on every level, but they've managed to scale sufficiently at a certain price that is appealing, so that we're seeing brands like Hugo Boss, for example, making their shoes. That's a good indicator for how someone might bring, just a small piece of a collection to market to try out a new material innovation. And then I think, 2021 is going to be a big year for the field of biofabricated materials, because we're going to see a bunch of materials. I think, I'm not sure who it was mentioned, maybe Amanda mentioning bolt threads. Their material Milo will be launching this year. MycoWorks' reishi material will be launching this year. We're fully expecting something from Modern Meadow. So many of the kind of leading biomaterial startups have been working for sort of 5 to 10 plus years now. And 2021 is the year that most of them will be able to launch something with existing brand partners that will start to hopefully educate consumers about new kinds of materials. So like the mushroom leather materials, we're going to see that for the first time in shoes and bags. That will give consumers interest, it will give investors confidence, it will fuel more material innovation. But I think that this is actually a year that a lot of people have been waiting for, because we've heard about materials being about to launch, but I think finally we are at that point. It's not that it's been quick, it's just that it's now the right, they've arrived at that time where the materials are now ready. But that doesn't mean that it hasn't taken a decade or more to get here. And I think the last quick example I would give is Spiber in Japan, whose work with the North Face and Goldwyn has actually really led the field in terms of launching ski jackets and a kind of a whole bunch of garments now, even at Paris Couture Week. So we're starting to see them hit the market finally, which is fantastic for fueling more interest as well.
Great, thanks, Suzanne. Your passion for this is certainly evident in all your responses. So my final question, and probably our favorite one, and this is going to go to all the panelists, but I'll start with Amanda. When you look at this landscape for future fashion, what are the things that you are most excited about in the short term and the long term? So we'll go to Amanda first.
Yeah, well, let me start by saying I've been in the fashion industry for over 30 years and never have I seen more innovation and interest from brands and startups. And it's so exciting to see it. So let me start by saying that. The second thing I'm really excited about is the implementation of the circular economy, led by the Ellen MacArthur Foundation, but the work that they're doing to help brands develop new business models to keep clothing in use for longer. So super exciting. And then thirdly, as a chemist, as a dye chemist, I'm super excited to see that new chemicals are being made from different resources. So not from gas and not from oil, but we're seeing chemicals being made from bacteria. So you can actually ferment bacteria to make indigo. We're seeing chemicals being made from food waste. York University in the UK is making amazing platform chemicals from wasted food that would end up in the landfill. And then finally, Evolved by Nature is a company that's making really beautiful, clean chemicals from old discarded silkworm cocoons. So there's lots and lots of super exciting stuff. I could talk at length about the fibers as well, but Suzanne's done an excellent job of really sort of informing us all about that. So I think 2021 is going to be a huge year. I think that the industry is hungry. We're seeing an increased use of recycled fibers, fibers from renewable resources, and more importantly, fibers from old textiles to eliminate them going to the landfill. So very excited.
Great. Okay. Julian, I'll go to you with the same question.
Amanda said everything. No, clearly, yes, circular economy is something very exciting. We are very close to the Ellen MacArthur Foundation, and we think that it's the whole ecosystem has to move, and it's clearly moving in the right direction. Clearly, bacteria that you mentioned is clearly one other exciting new materials coming. Maybe it will be more basic, but another thing that's quite exciting for me is all the recycling processes coming on the post-consumer leftovers textiles coming, because there was a lot of things around, you know, the cellulose, the viscose, this kind of thing, and we are improving this recycling process with the leftover and polyester and cotton, and having some new materials coming from the recycling, and it's moving and improving each month, each week, and there are a lot of things quite interesting coming on this. Yeah. And regarding the circular economy, working on the post-consumer is one of the next frontier that we have to tackle.
Even small wins for large companies like yourself, Julian, are big wins for the world. So that's great. And Suzanne, lastly to you, short term and long term, what are you most excited about?
I mean, obviously the short term is that I'm excited after all this time to see these launches happen this year, because I think it's a major point in material history where we start to experience materials made by biology, not from plants or animals, but by microbes. So I think the bacteria story is huge, or mycelium. And then actually long term, I'm excited with a 2030 sort of mindset for what are the implications for the planet. I'm excited for companies who are actually finding, in addition to kind of recycling fibers, thinking about where do the resources come from for creating new materials. And so I'm excited by the companies who are looking to harness CO2 as an input to feed bacteria, rather than a crop in a field where we're currently taking sugar to feed these microbes. So I want to see, can we solve the two problems at once? Can we lower CO2 by really seeing that not as a waste resource, but actually as the thing that we should be building all our materials on, instead of using these other resources? So that's my long-term excitement in innovation.
Great, thanks, Suzanne. So Sophia, I think we're going to pass back to you now.
Yes, thank you so much, everyone. That was an amazing panel, and I'm so happy you guys could be here today. Okay, we're just going to transition on to our next topic. So we're going to transition from this panel now to our first set of startup pitches. These will be focused in new textiles and engineered fibers. If you go to the next slide, I'll begin and introduce our first startup, Dropple. Dropple is a portfolio startup of plug and play. They're a leading performance-based yarn and cotton fibers company. Their patent-pending technology applies material science and cotton processing technology to make clothing life-proof, including stain-proof and spill-proof. Please welcome Sim, the co-founder and CEO of Dropple Fabrics.
Sim, I think you might be on mute.
Yeah. Hi guys, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Great. Hello, everyone. My name is Sim, and we create high-performance alternative raw materials to redefine customer experiences. Throughout the history of time, humans have gravitated towards natural fibers. We've loved cotton, wool, and silk. It's only in the early and mid 20th century with the proliferation of polyester and petroleum-based fibers such as nylon, polyester, and others led by companies such as Gore and DuPont. But where is the innovation in natural fibers and the fibers that we prefer to wear on a day-to-day basis? And the challenge really is that the product's environmental materials account for 10% of global carbon emissions. Creating sustainable textiles is the only path forward as demand for textiles triples in the next 20 years. And many brands have made commitments to using sustainable textiles and are making commitments to achieve that by 2030. But if you measure the textile footprint, you notice that almost 0.9 gigatons of carbon are released into the atmosphere when polyester is produced. Cotton, similarly, is 0.6 gigatons of carbon, and that is causing huge strain on the environment and on the planet. So at Drapel, we're creating high-performance biomaterials to redefine customer experiences. It is the performance of polyester and the softness and breathability of cotton. We take globally abundant raw materials such as corn husks, soybean proteins, rice stalk, and feathers to create a closed-looped process with biodegradable chemistries and take those fibers and give them the performance of polyester, whether it's stain repellency, stain resistant, antimicrobial, wrinkle-free, and others. Our mission, Drapel believes that precious materials can come from unanticipated places. We spin industrial bio-waste into high-performance fibers that are as plush as cotton, as lush as silk, and as opportune as polyester. We do so by using 99% less land and water and emit 0 carbon dioxide. We can materialize the planet without destroying it. It's a low-cost, high-value, and high-volume product. We take corn husks and others to create luxurious cotton silk-like fibers and tough, durable flute structures for packaging. We use common structural proteins that are found in agricultural waste. We have secured IP from the USDA, United States Department of Energy, University of Nebraska, and NJIT. We all realize that performance fibers ramped quickly. This year, Drapel, we've done close to $3 million in business and have established a global top-tier sales funnel of brands in the United States and Europe. We've partnered with mills in Italy, China, Portugal, India, Taiwan, Japan, and USA to scale our fabric technologies as we invest into the agricultural waste fiber as shared. Myself, I've graduated from the University of Oxford with a degree in economics and have been a serial entrepreneur in retail and manufacturing over the last 15 years. The rest of our team is mostly PhDs. Our Chief Science Officer, Mike Jaffe, he's a professor of biomedical engineering at NJIT. David Kaplan, he's a molecular biologist at Tufts University, and we have others, PhDs. I formerly have worked at ExxonMobil, as well as Celanese, which is a top chemical and material company. Our investors include Plug and Play, Oxford Angel Fund, Warren Alumni Angels, Gaetan Ban-Om, he's a founding member of Kirion, now at Breakthrough Energy Ventures, Alex Moore, an operating partner at HVC, now on the board of Palantir, David Bressolar, Chief Science Officer of Bold Threads, as previously mentioned, and Miroslava Duma, who runs FTL as well as Pangaya. So we're really excited about having a great group of investors as well as partners that can help scale our material technologies. As the panelists so eloquently mentioned, this is a long process, and we have the team and the investors to help us realize our vision at the fiber level as we scale our processes. We've been recognized by various publications, and so we're really excited about the future and would love to connect with investors, retail partners, and anyone who's interested in this technology. Feel free to email me if you're interested. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Sim. And so if everyone could just take the time to answer the poll that is on your screen at this time, that would be great. And I'm going to go ahead and introduce our next speaker. This is Alyssa from Kintra Fibers. And Kintra Fibers is a material science company that makes high-performing and 100% bio-based polymers for textile use, formulated to keep our oceans microfiber free. Welcome, Alyssa, Kintra's co-founder and COO.
Thank you. And just give me one moment. I will share my screen.
Of course.
Thank you, everyone, for having me here today. Excited to be part of this important day talking about innovation. So thank you for the introduction. We're Kintra, a material science company that makes compostable performance textiles for the apparel industry. We help brands protect our planet and our oceans. Our materials are designed to end the use of petrochemicals in apparel, eradicate microfiber pollution, and be a versatile design option for brands. We've developed a platform chemistry based on PBS, polybutylene succinate. Our proprietary formulation is 100% bio-based, intrinsically compostable, and optimized for textile use and scalability. We've designed our polymer to fit on the same equipment that is used for other synthetics, allowing us to be a true plug-and-play fit to existing industry infrastructure. Today, no viable options exist for brands seeking circular synthetics. Recycled synthetics, such as plastic bottle-based textiles, leach microplastics into the ocean through laundry cycles, as is Sorona, a material that is still 70% petrochemical based. PLA has limited industrial applications. And lastly, synthetic biology, or genetically engineering bacteria to produce polymers, does face multiple challenges for commercial adoption. It's kind of hard to control biology, and the resulting materials typically are difficult to fine-tune for performance and rely on new infrastructure and expensive build-outs. In contrast, at Kintra, we chose a base chemistry and a process that is a direct fit to existing industry infrastructure, allowing us to scale quickly and rapidly and really fine-tune our chemistry for specific performance attributes that brands are looking for. As we all know, petrochemical-based polyester represents 52% of the global fiber market, but only 8% of brands can trace that supply chain down to the chemical suppliers behind their polyester. Kintra provides transparency and a farm to fabric story. Our process starts with our supply chain partners who convert biomass such as wheat into inputs. We turn these inputs into our polymer, which again has an intrinsically compostable chemistry and is optimized for performance. As we scale up, we'll be looking to work with partners that work with regenerative agriculture and also using second and third generation feedstocks. What is important about having a compostable chemistry is that we naturally degrade in aerobic environments, such as the environment in a wastewater treatment facility. Other synthetics survive this wastewater treatment plant and continue to pollute the oceans at the shocking volume equivalent of 50 billion plastic bottles annually. In terms of physical performance, we're just as strong as nylon and PET for the fashion industry, which you can see highlighted here in blue. And yet we're about 5 to 10 times softer, a property that we're really excited about because it'll allow us to preserve a nice hand feel if we blend with any natural materials. We just closed our Series Seed funding round and are scaling production to launch with our first commercial partner at the end of this year. In the meantime, we're also able to start conversations with brands to integrate at the resin, yarn, or fiber level and explore new developments and projects and actually start being able to service meaningful quantities as we produce and continue to scale up. We've also opened a lab space in Brooklyn, which allows us to rapidly iterate and develop chemistries fine-tuned to meet the specific characteristics that brands are looking for. So if you're ready to take the next step in circularity, reach out to us. We're excited to connect.
Thank you so much, Alyssa. So again, here's the poll. And if you'd like to reach out to Kintra, please just fill that out. And I will be transitioning on to our next guest. So our next startup that's presenting is going to be Azola. Azola is a biomanufacturing platform that empowers industries to transform CO2 into biomaterial that can be used to make everyday products, starting with textiles. Welcome, Lubitsa, the co-founder and CEO of Azola. And if you just want to turn on your microphone and camera.
No, not video. Go this.
Hi, Lubitsa. Hi, Milan. We can hear you.
You can hear us?
Yes.
Oh, okay, great. Hi.
The only thing is that your presentation is in like presenter mode, like we see the notes instead of the display.
All right. I'm sorry, but we are actually coming to you from very windy San Francisco area, and we are sitting in a car in a parking lot of Starbucks and hoping that our technology is not gonna fail us.
Because we're out of power. We don't have power.
Okay. Well, if you'd like, we can circle back to you.
That would be great.
Okay. So let's bear with us while we promote the next startup just to present. And we will just roll with it because that's what happens when we're doing live Zooms and technical difficulties arise. So I will just start to begin to introduce our next startup. We'll be transitioning into dyeing solutions at this point. So we just talked about textiles and biomaterials, and now we will be talking to Vivid Dye. So Vivid Dye specializes in reversible dyeing solutions for textiles, designed to satisfy current fast fashion trends in a sustainable and safe way. Welcome, Gustav, the co-founder and COO of Vivid Dye.
Thank you, Sophia. That was a great introduction. So, can everybody see my screen?
Yes.
Yes. So, as Sophia said, I'm Gustav, and I'm one of the co-founders of Vivid Dye. And I'm going directly to the topic that we have been talking about before, the fashion dilemma. And we know there is like a high demand for fast fashion, but there's always someone that has to pay the price for this. And that usually ends up to being the environment. So there are a lot of sustainability concerns related to this demand for fast fashion. So what we need to do is basically reuse more and recycle more. But there's always one problem with this, and that's the color. It's very hard to actually fulfill the recycling completely when there's color that needs to be removed. So we basically need a good way to remove this color. We need a way to re-dye those textiles in clothes and garments to be able to facilitate both reuse and recycling. So we at Vivid Dye, we have developed a coloring technology, a reversible coloring technology, where we can color and decolor fibers and garments over and over again without harming the mechanical properties of the fibers. And we can do this through wet dyeing to make solid colors. Basically have a garment or a textile that we dip in a color or pigment dispersion. We can do more defined prints with screen printing, or we can do more high resolution prints with digital printing. So there is a market for this, of course. This is only the Swedish numbers, bear in mind. There's a lot of surplus that's made by the fashion companies that are never sold, that needs to be redesigned. And also one very interesting part is the recycling companies that have the problem with actually removing the color in the processes. So it's quite, right now, it's one of the most growing parts of the textile industry. So there is a much needed change if you want to fulfill the sustainability goals. We need to extend the use of textile material, so that will lead to that we use less resources and reduce the emissions. And what we have done with our IP so far, a few years back, we did a novelty search for our process and the technology, and we did an updated one this fall. So now we're in the process of filing for a patent. And here we have the team. So it's Johanna, Erik, me, and Romain that are the founding team of Vivideye. And then we also have many advisors connected to us, experts within polymer technology, fiber recycling, and surface chemistry, and so on. To make sure that we have the right knowledge that we need. And this is our journey funding-wise. So it started out a few years ago as a PhD project. And last year we started taking investments, applied for more grants, got more grants, and also got loans to be able to accelerate the technology development and also the business. And we wouldn't have been able to do this without our partners, of course. So we're very close in collaboration with our university, with the University Chalmers in Gothenburg, Sweden. And then we also work with many different actors within the field, the textile industry. So we work with actors within fashion, textile recycling, secondhand, workwear and commercial wear and so on, to be able to see like where the needs are for the industry. And you never know, the next one might be you. So if you want to get in touch with us, visit us on our website, vivideye.com, and then there's a form down that you can fill in or send a message to us. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much, Gustav. So up next, we have Mikke from Daiku. We will be sharing a short video from their company before he starts to pitch. So Daiku is revolutionizing the way we color clothes. As the world's first supplier of industrial CO2 textile dyeing equipment and dyes. Welcome, Mikke, Head of Commercial Development at Daiku.
We have a very small amount of water, and that's got to accommodate the needs that humans have for drinking water, and a lot of that water is not accessible.
We are committing hydrocide. We are deliberately murdering our rivers.
Our rivers across the world were being deeply impacted by the dumping of poisonous toxic material.
Every single piece of clothing that you buy comes with a cost.
The fabric dyes used contain hazardous materials, things like mercury, cadmium, and lead.
If we continue like this, it's done. It's done.
Daiku is a Dutch company that makes machines for dyeing polyester in high-pressure CO2. Not one drop of water is used in the process. Daiku is proud to introduce the next step in textile dyeing, the Diox 4 machine. This next-generation production machine combines efficiency with speed and flexibility. Using CO2 instead of water provides economic benefits, water-free and chemical-free.
If you'd like to turn on your camera and microphone and share your screen.
Trying. Here we go.
Hi.
So thanks for having me. Thanks, Plug and Play. Thanks, Sophia, for having me. My name is Mikke, representing Daiku. The issue of water and pollution has been gaining quite a lot of traction lately. I think that everybody is aware of this. The brands are picking it up, the retailers are picking it up. But the question is there an urgency? I think we've all been hit or influenced by the vaccine lately. And I think it works, pretty well if there's a real urgency. So there is an issue. COVID, there is a solution, there's a vaccine, there's a few companies producing, they go to the customers, the countries, they get commitments, and they go scale production fast. So answer the question, time, price, scale, sure. How are we doing in the fashion industry? I think it's more to the lower part. However, this is not so difficult. It isn't really that difficult if there is an urgency. What we are experiencing in the supply chain is from the lower end. Somebody else go first. I don't want to take the risk. I don't want to go. Somebody else needs to show me scale before I go. Now, this is not going to change anything with this approach. I think from the panel, I think it's clear that to say that we need new processes, new materials into the supply chain. In order to do that, at the end of the day, we will need new machines. We will need new people tapping into this industry. If there's an urgency, if there are commitments made, we're not speaking about cash. We're speaking about commitment into volumes, because volumes is what counts. Volume is what makes this industry go around. We can change this much faster than what we're doing today. Dyco is a technology company. We tap into a $3 billion market, and we're offering a proven technology where very few other alternatives are at hand. Remember that we're doing water-free and chemical-free dyeing on industrial scale. We have been on the market for a little bit more than 10 years. We put our first machines on the market 2009. We have 5 machines in the market, and we're scaling this company at this point of time. Now, the problem that we have, and many with us, is that we are not at scale yet. We are producing 9,000 tons a year, which can sound much to many of the startups here. But if you're talking about the big producers who speak to 9,000 tons for a company like Lacoste or PVH, it is nothing. And therefore we are being not really considered as an alternative yet. So it's a catch-22 moment that we're in. Therefore, scale partners. We need you brands, we need you retailers. Put your money where your mouth is. Come to me if you have volumes and you want to commit volumes. I'm speaking to all your suppliers, and the suppliers in the supply chain are saying, if the brands promise me that they will take it, we will invest in your technology. We're working with project finance and working capital. In reality, what we need is we need to build factories. For that, of course, equity, scale equity, always welcome. Of course, we have all the slides. There's a team, there's market, there's a lot of revenue, there's everything is here. Welcome to have it. Reach out to me. My name is Micke. Here's my number. Thank you.
Thank you, Micke. And soon the poll will launch if you want to reach out to Micke. Yeah, this was a great presentation, and Dyco is such an interesting technology. So next up, we are going to reintroduce Lubica from Azola. I think she's solved her technical difficulties, so hopefully it will work this time. Lubica, welcome. If you would like to turn on your camera and share your screen, we'd love to hear all about Azola.
Hello, so here we are back from the parking lot of Starbucks in beautiful sunny California. There you go. All right. So again, I'm Lubica, and I'm a co-founder of Azola, where we are developing technology to transform CO2 into a textile fiber. It is well known that the fashion industry is the second biggest polluter. Oh, I can't. Where can I? Polluter in the world, and manufacturing textile fiber alone has huge impact on the environment. Clearly, a huge problem, carbon dioxide is more abundant in our atmosphere now than at any other time in human history. Plants have been capturing it for billions of years using photosynthesis. However, today they are not able to keep up with our emissions. To solve these problems, we were wondering, is it possible to help nature by mimicking its use of these versatile molecules to make useful and valuable products? Could many things around us be made of thin air? Since cellulose is the most common building block in nature, we decided to create our unique version of it that we call ECHO. We applied synthetic biology to bacteria that naturally produce nanocellulose by fermenting sugar, but changed their DNA to create a new unique bacterium that feeds on CO2 instead of sugar. The result is pure nanocellulose with similar physical properties to rayon and viscose. Our industrial photosynthesis is mimicking nature at its elegant simplicity. In our unique bioreactor, our proprietary bacteria feeds on CO2 pulled directly from air and produces pure nanocellulose. Because we don't use any chemicals, there is no need for purification. The biomass that our bacteria produce can be spun into yarn using existing equipment. Our biggest advantage is the abundance of our raw material. In addition to capturing CO2, our process offers significant resource efficiencies. In our biofactory, we can grow the textile fiber in just a week compared to growing and processing cotton that takes almost a year. The total textile market is huge. It's over $1 trillion. And as the negative impacts of the industry are becoming more and more transparent, the digitally savvy consumers are driving the rapidly growing demand for sustainable options. Our initial customers will be fashion brands that are already looking for sustainable materials. Astonishingly, today only 1% of textiles are produced sustainably, leaving the remaining 99% as a huge opportunity for us. Brands like Nike, Levi's, and North Face have already expressed strong interest in collaborating with us. They see our ability to capture CO2 as a significant benefit that has the potential to provide competitive prices as well as opportunity for marketing advantage. To ensure the success of our project, we have committed a team of experts. Milan is our inventor and our technology and is a true Renaissance man with background in biology and architecture. I spent over 20 years in textile industry developing business for companies like Levi's, Target, and Pottery Barn. We have teamed up with top scientists at Sandia National Lab to complete the proof of concept. Our team of accomplished advisors bring expertise in both science and business development. The fastest way to bring our technology to market is by developing partnerships throughout all parts of textile supply chain, from fiber producers to textile manufacturers to brands. Right now, we are at the lab stage looking for seed funding to complete the POC. Our next step is partnering with innovative brands on co-development of textiles for the fashion industry. In the long run, we are planning on engineering our material to be integrated into a variety of industries. Our accomplished, knowledgeable team is excited to execute our vision to inspire companies to replace their fossil fuel-based raw materials with sustainable options to ensure a hopeful future for our planet and its people. We are looking for $100,000 to complete POC to make samples and develop strategic partnerships. Wouldn't it be great to be wearing T-shirt from thin air a few years from now? Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lubica. I'm so happy that you were able to still present, regardless of all of the natural causes that have seeming to be hitting California a lot more than often recently. Thank you so much. So next up, we have our last, we're going to switch back to dyeing, dyeing solutions. We have our last startup presenting here, Wearwool. So Wearwool uses microbes, uses microbes to produce proteins for textile fibers with built-in color and performance properties, without the use of toxic plastics, dyes, or finishes. Here to speak more about the company is Valentina, the co-founder and CIO of Wearwool.
Hi, Sophia. Thank you for the introduction. Can you guys see me?
Yes, can see you and hear you loud and clear.
Awesome. Thank you. Okay, so hi everyone. I'm Valentina Gomez, the Chief Innovation Officer and one of the co-founders of Wearwell. Super happy to be here today and excited to share with you a bit about our company, Wearwell. So Wearwell is creating biodegradable textile fibers with built-in color and performance properties. Our diverse team has backgrounds in textile development, fashion business, and material science. We see a future where our sneakers, rain jackets, and yoga pants can have textile performance without plastics and color without water pollution. The fashion and textile industry has long relied on extractive feedstocks, toxic dyes and finishes, and water-intensive processes. Brands and manufacturers are recognizing that there's an urgency for change, and they're making huge commitments to minimize their carbon and water footprints. They have seen that by sourcing sustainable fibers, they can address 50 to 80% of their product's impact. So our patent pending technology is inspired by the way that nature does performance. We design proteins to have targeted properties and incorporate these proteins into textile fibers with a circular life cycle. So this is a photo of our prototype fiber that we've hand knit. The color and fluorescence comes from the structure of our green fluorescent proteins. So our process uses microbes as a raw material factories to produce proteins with targeted properties such as color. Then to go from fluorescent protein to fluorescent fiber, we use green chemistry to link these functional proteins to create fibers with inherent color and natural fluorescence. So we're entering the eco-fiber market, and it's quickly growing as brands are actively committed to sustainable manufacturing. And there's a really heavy focus on fiber sourcing. There's many new exciting materials being implemented in the marketplace, but many of these preferred fibers still come with caveats and are leaving brands with unmet needs. Some of these fibers, while being a recycled material, still shed microplastics, and most of them are still reliant on conventional dyeing processes. Wearwell fibers will fill this gap in the market. We're offering an alternative to widely used performance fibers such as polyester and nylon. Our technology offers brands a full complement of benefits, one that addresses the sustainability issues this industry faces holistically, from the raw material stage through production, to support a circular fashion industry. So we're currently looking for the support of a corporate partner in the activewear sector who can work with us to give us feedback as our fibers are being developed, validate our technology in a small capsule collection, and ultimately be our partner when we bring our technology to market. We have begun building these relationships within the fashion industry. We've gained the support of the H&M Foundation, letters of interest, and signed NDAs with other top athletic apparel companies and fiber manufacturers. This past year, we've also raised $350,000 in non-diluted funding. We filed a provisional patent on our fiber formation method and composition. We've begun assembling an advisory board of industry professionals to guide us in our development. And we also hired a full-time director of R&D. So you're seeing our research and development timeline to meet our 3-year goal of making 50 kilograms of fiber for the first circular knit samples made of Wearwell fibers. We've recently opened our first round of funding for $500,000, and over the next 3 years, our goal will be to raise $3 million to expand our team and further refine our prototypes. As our company grows, we see this as an expansive platform where we can follow nature's blueprints to create an array of biodegradable performance textiles with inherent properties, such as stretch, moisture management, and waterproofing, for a future where textile production does not have to be synonymous with environmental impact. Thank you so much for your time, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you, Valentina. I'll give everyone a few more seconds to finish up the poll here. In the meantime, I'm Akadina Yadigar. I'm the program manager of the brand and retail vertical here at Plug and Play, and I am so excited about today. I am particularly excited about this next fireside chat, which is all about circularity the profitable way. Leading the conversation, we have Bunny Yan. Bunny is the sustainability advisor turned fashion storyteller. Bunny produces an award-winning digital series focusing on the fun, fascinating side of impact-driven fashion, mixing her extensive knowledge with her magnetic personality to deliver a world of cool transformations, daring technologies, surprising materials, and boundless potential. She'll be speaking with Stephanie Benedetto, the founder and CEO of Queen of Raw, an engine for businesses to buy or sell unused raw materials and map, measure, and trace their supply chains, turning pollution into profit. I'll let you two take it from here.
All right, technology, right? Hi, everybody. Oh my God, so happy to be here. What amazing groups that was presenting before. My jaw was on the floor, I had to pick it up for this. So yeah, one of the biggest pushback from the industry about sustainability is it's gonna be expensive and take too long. So me and Steph here today is going to discuss how that's a loadable and being sustainable and circular can be so profitable. So I would love for Stephanie to talk about a bit more of what she does.
Thank you so much, Bunny, and thank you, everyone. I'm really excited to be here and speaking with all of you. You know, as Bunny said, what we just heard in the innovations that everyone are working on, they're game changers for the businesses and for the future, and especially with what we're all going through today, it matters now more than ever. But one of the challenges that we always hear from brands and retailers and in this industry is that they would love to be more sustainable, but they automatically assume it's going to cost them more money and that they're not going to be able to recoup that money in any way, and it's not going to be scalable. And so, you know, I come from a family background of over 100 years, actually, in fashion and textiles since the 1890s in the Lower East Side, the original garment district in New York. And so I very much grew up around this industry and hearing the old school way of doing things. And, you know, in so many ways, today's supply chains have just gotten so complicated, right? Hundreds of steps across the globe and metric tons of water, chemicals, crops, and oil used in the process. And as this happens, it's created an incredible amount of waste, right? What we call dead stock, all that unused inventory from raw materials to finished goods. And I started looking at this issue of waste with my team way back in 2014, and we started quantifying it, and we realized that for businesses, every single year, we're sitting on about $120 billion with a B worth of unused inventory, from raw materials to finished goods. And of course, that waste does not make sense for people and planet. We all know how damaging it is to the environment, but it also doesn't make sense for a business's profit. And that's where I started diving deeper into it. And we realized that with this waste and inefficiencies and all that unused inventory, it was costing businesses up to 15% or more of their bottom line in just 1 year. And so I always like to say, right, at that volume, waste isn't just environmentally irresponsible, it's a CFO issue. And so that's really, yeah, you know, and that's really what we focused on and why we built what we built, to tackle that problem, because it matters for people and planet, but because it also matters for a business's profit and the economics. And so we built Queen of Raw when we started as a global marketplace. So it is a platform with anyone from a student maker, crafter, quilter, right, to the biggest brands and the retailers in the world can buy and sell their unused textiles. Keep all that out of landfill and obviously turn what would be pollution into profit. And the beauty of that model is, and why I'm a big fan of kind of marketplaces and especially looking at resale, recirculation, recycling all these materials, is that it unlocks value. It gives businesses a way that they can make money today selling waste, which they got more than ever, right? And freeing up all that costly warehouse space. And then they can take all that money that they make and put it back into their supply chains and do other good practices, pay workers better, invest in some of the incredible innovations that we just heard from. That's how they can do it without having a huge CapEx expenditure, right? So selling waste is clearly, to me, a great and valuable place to start, to save and make money while doing good, right? And how do you say no to that? And then, of course, there are opportunities, which we can chat about, to turning around and buying waste and unused textiles, right? Find what you need at a discount, away from areas impacted by disruption. Think about the time and resources saved by doing that. So that was kind of Queen of Raw in its original form when Bunny, when you and I first met a while back. Of course, we could talk more. It's grown since then in what we do and how we try to unlock profit and ROI for our community.
Yeah, the keywords is definitely today, because all of these practices, when a lot of people are pushing back saying, you know, traditionally that's not what's done. No, traditionally we are very resourceful people. We mend things, you know, mend them when it's broken. We reuse stuff. That has always been the norm. Like recycled plastic, turn it into different products. It's not a new concept. Like China as an industrial country has been using that. It's just never said it like, oh, we use that. It's almost like a shame that we're reusing it. And that way to the point that, of course, if you're gonna grow more forests and need to turn things that we found, like crude oil, that what we're not able to replenish enough in time, of course, let's divert all of these interests into more different areas so we can continue to make the things we want.
It's true. And what's funny, when you look at recirculation of already existing textiles and materials, right? This is perfectly good stuff in mint condition. Nothing needs to happen to what we work with. It's in perfectly good form, ready to be resold. And, you know, so we have so many resources out there that are in perfect condition that can be reused. Why wouldn't you, especially when it makes economic sense? But I think a lot of the problem was a lot of people didn't have access to this information. Businesses don't know what they have in their own complex supply chains and in raw materials, right? I mean, you know what you know about your business, maybe at a tier 1 supplier, maybe a tier 2, but for some big businesses that go down to tier 14 and more, you don't necessarily know what's going on. And that's where we saw a lot of these issues of very expensive and costly waste just compounding and compounding and compounding. And then the problem gets so big, you don't know where to go or what to do. And a lot of them have been forced historically to burn or landfill it. Well, now you've got alternatives. And so, you know, for people out there kind of building businesses and looking at business models, obviously very valuable to look at the economics of the model. Sustainability is about circular economy. The second word in that is economy. It's an economic principle. And so when you look at the model, making sure that the business that you are building not only is good for people and planet, but also unlocks value and profit. And how do you show that value and that ROI to your end customers, right? We spent time now, as we've been growing the marketplace, we realized for our larger enterprise customers, there's a lot more we could offer them. You know, selling waste is great. It provides immediate value, but that's about today. What about tomorrow? How do you do better in your supply chain? How do you become more efficient? And how do you unlock even more value? And so we have built now behind Queen of Raw some exciting software and tools based on what we learned from the incredible Queen of Raw community that helps businesses find this waste in your supply chain from a tier 1 to a tier 14 supplier, right? You can, of course, monetize any waste that you want, but the beauty, you can also reuse it internally if you got it, right? And that's
times with all your new technology too. And that's another thing, like people like, oh, but the way we used to do it, you know, I'm used to doing the exact same process. And now the pandemic has forced us into so many digital things. You realize I don't have to wait for a sample to be passed and forth across the sea 10 times because I need to finalize it. I can look at your model on the screen right now and go, you know what, don't send this one. The color's not even right. So it's no point. So all of these things save so much manpower and time alone for you to able to produce more profit.
Yes, exactly. You're right. And it's about using technology and digital tools in order to unlock those time and resources saved. This industry for so long has been so ripe for that kind of innovation. I think things had gotten so fast, it was unsustainable by all definitions of the word, right? And we're at this incredible time now where so many people say, oh, but the fashion industry with everything it's going through. Look, unless we're all going to be naked, we're going to be wearing and consuming fashion fashion, just how we make it, how we consume it, what we wear, it's all going to shift in the most incredible ways. And it unlocks right now huge opportunity for people to look, whether you're a startup, at new business models and new innovations like the incredible ones we just heard today. But also if you're a bigger brand or retailer, how are you going to use what's going on today to innovate today, to start to digitize the parts of your supply chain and get all that incredible information that you never had before about what's going on in order to find more value. And so we went so far in our software and tools, which I recommend anyone else doing as well, to build out an ROI calculator. So people, your customers, your community can see the amount of time and money and resources saved by the actions that they're taking across your platform. And, you know, that's where we've had a lot of fun with some of our partners like the UN and MIT, diving deep into the impact metrics and telling you in real time, here's the amount of water, toxins, energy, and dollars that you've saved. And that's important too, right? It's not just about the water and the toxins and the carbon emissions you've saved, but how much does that translate into dollars saved?
It's almost like because we're going through all these things, you have to do it now. Because what are you going to do? Wait for another thing that you can, you know, control to happen and really crush your business? These are things that, like everybody have shown so far, so many small startups already solve that problem for you. And you can find places like here to find these small teams to already give them the support they need to develop the things you need. It doesn't have to all come from your company. Your company don't have to find all the solutions.
That's exactly right. And, you know, for large brands and retailers, especially with what they're going through today, right? They are in the business of making things and selling it to their customers. It's not their business to do what all the incredible innovators we just heard about are doing. So it makes economic sense for them not to go out and try to build technology and become experts in other things. Focus on their core business, but leverage the incredible partnerships and tools that you're hearing about today in order to do better. And, you know, we've grown leaps and bounds through some incredible partnerships. And that is just how everyone in the ecosystem just grows together. And, you know, another thing I'll mention, when you look at building these kinds of technologies and tools, we often get asked about, you know, pilots, and I heard some people who are out there who are looking for partners. The best way, I think, as an innovator or a startup, if you show your enterprise customers the value that you're getting, it is something that they're going to be willing to pay for. You do not have to do a free pilot because it costs you money too. But if you show them how much money beyond what it costs them, they're going to save and make, then of course it makes economic sense and you have room to grow together. So, you know, just another thing we've kind of seen that if you focus in on the profitability and the economic model, you don't have to be doing these free pilots or, you know, unpaid work. You can get value and money for what you're doing because you're unlocking value and money for that.
Yeah, that value part is definitely key. Between startup to company and between company to consumers. And a lot of talk on like, oh, if we make this more expensive technology, we will have to charge more, people are not going to pay for it. I'm like, because the value is different. If you're just going to go, oh, this is the same t-shirt and you don't talk about what's behind, yeah, consumers not going to understand, or the brand's not going to understand the value behind it. Now, if you tell me, example, Apple leather itself is not only biodegradable, but it's more durable, it's hypoallergenic, and it's what's that thing, bacteria?
Yeah, antibacterial.
And also have antibacterial qualities, then it's a higher value of a product. Of course, I would invest more money into that.
It's true, but what's also interesting, if you're talking about kind of dead stock and waste and what we specialize in, going sustainable doesn't have to cost you more money, right? If you buy, you can get organic cotton, which happens to be softer, thicker, lasts longer, right? On trend in a growing market at steep discounts by using our tools and finding it in dead stock. So then you don't actually have to have your sustainable product cost more money, right? It can actually cost the same or even sometimes less. And that's where I think, you know, with these new models, the profitability can and will be there. Sustainability, it's a myth that it has to cost you more money to adopt. And, you know, one interesting statistic we found with one of our large enterprise customers is not only are they recouping all this money on their bottom line by selling waste, freeing up costly warehouse space, and then turning around and buying waste at a discount, but by talking about the good work that they're doing, and now they're able to talk about it, right? Because we've captured the data and the metrics for them, they can talk about it. They have seen up to 3 times the conversion rate in their online direct-to-consumer business just by talking about sustainability and making collections out of dead stock. So, now that you're armed with the information and the tools to talk about it, not only is this a bottom line opportunity, but it's a top line, right? Revenue generating. And then you've just talked about the value you've unlocked and created.
Yeah, like co-transparency, practices. It's not about like you show just all the data. Most people don't understand data. Tell me about you. Tell me like, you know what? I went to the factory. I see this. Look what they look like. Talk to you as a person. Talk to you as somebody else that you're Zooming with, hopefully able to meet up soon. And all of these stories are what tells you about transparency, because now you see the feeling. Now you see the brand have a value that's similar to yours, not another slogan saying, oh, it looks pretty on you, which especially these days, you have more competitors because people's wallet are thinner. Then it's much more important to go, there's much more value than just, I look pretty, because it only goes so far with so many brands and competitive.
It's true, but it's funny, there is obviously significant value if you know how to read and understand in data. And so much of the fashion industry has still been doing things the way my great grandfather did, right? In the 1890s by pen and paper, or maybe an Excel spreadsheet, right? But now with incredible technology like machine learning, like blockchain, we're able to capture information from a business perspective about what's going on in your supply chain in ways that you never could before. All of this dark data and information suddenly becomes transparent, and you realize and see patterns and histories and things you never knew before. Just to give you a little example, obviously now that we're able to figure out why you have this waste, where did it come from, and where does it go to, we can actually start to see patterns and historical behaviors. Oh, every time you create this kind of fabric in this color and send it to this factory, you always end up with 50% more unused inventory there. Try sending them 50% less this time and you might have less waste, right? These kinds of patterns that you wouldn't have seen or known before, and that's just a small example, can start to show. But when you add it all up, it can become significantly valuable. And we're just at the beginning with some of these cool technologies that are out there to understand and identify what this means for supply chain, for knowing what's going on as goods move through it. But I always say, end-to-end transparency, right? 100% sustainable. Those are incredible goals. And I'm so proud of all of the brands and retailers who have made those commitments and put a stake in the ground. But where do you go and what do you do on day one? How do you not get stuck in the mud and get overwhelmed and say, and to me, looking at waste and inefficiencies is where you start to unlock value today and then digitize up and down the chain. And then obviously fun things like RFID threads and QR codes and storytelling can come in, but you have to know the information and the data first.
You're right. It can get really scary and overwhelming. It's like you don't know what you don't know. But conferences like this is step one. Just find one takeaway and just do one research on that one takeaway. It was just start like going through a funnel, and you will see more and more things. And you don't need to learn what we have been doing for the last 2 decades. It's just small things that makes your business better.
Yep. And it's clear, obviously a lot we're talking here and a lot of my work on the B2B side, but also there's a huge component here of what we do on the B2C side. And as you mentioned, it's not just the storytelling, right? And talking about, look at me and look at all the great things I do, but understanding that today's consumers, especially the millennials and Gen Zs who have the greatest purchasing power, right? They're spending with their dollars. And I think the latest McKinsey report, was showing how sustainability issues are a top consideration for the vast majority of the big consumers today. And so your consumers do care, and they are acting with their wallets, and you need to think of a way to reach them in a cost-effective way, because that's how you're going to grow your business. Those are your end consumers. And that's where, if you look for what we focused on the B2B side and unlock value there, it continues to create down the chain even more value and opportunities for your business.
And I feel like this is a time also to be more friendly with each other and not seeing everybody's competitor, because there's a lot of solutions. If you don't team up together, you are just reinventing the wheel over and over again. Somebody might be doing the exact same thing or found a solution that you need. That's the key component to what you're doing, especially when it comes to cross industries. Like all our, not desktop, like those fabric scraps and leftovers has been going into construction industry for God knows how long, and it just now is becoming a more single practice. But these are all great informations. Like, look elsewhere. Who else you can team up?
You're right. Partnerships have been absolutely critical to who we are and what we do, because you don't want to be the expert in everything. You want to be the expert in your domain and leverage other partners and tools that are out there to connect the dots. And, for us, obviously, as we've been building out and thinking about our software and the kind of partnerships we had, just one example that's been great for us has been with SAP. It might not be apparent to everyone, why would you partner with a major software company like SAP, or are they a competitor, or what? For us, they actually, a lot of the world's biggest fashion brands and retailers are on them, using them to manage their inventory. But they're using them a lot in the finished goods side. And on the raw materials side, there's been all this waste and inefficiency. We can actually partner with SAP, integrate into businesses' inventory management systems, and that has helped us find the waste in real time, pull it automatically, quickly, and easily into Queen of Raw's engine, and then start our data collection and our analysis and our matchmaking in our marketplace. And so that has sped up our onboarding process while also meeting our enterprise customers where they are. So just one example of finding partners that can obviously add value to you and significantly add value to your community and where your customers are.
Also, like panels like this is really, especially like me and Steph's style, it's really not about shaming at all, because everybody at different stage, and I can understand big company are scared, because if you say something, the press can, interpret it wrong way, and then you get a bad rap somewhere else. It's really all about understanding where your pinpoint is, share where is the barrier is, and talk to the expert if you don't feel comfortable to release anything. But if you do want to release something, say it in a way that's including others. Say, you know what, we have done this, but if you think we should do something else, please give me your information. Be it like we don't just know everything. We're still learning. Be inviting.
And you just hit the nail on the head. It has to be a pain point and a problem that your customers are feeling. We can't we could all build the greatest tools and technology and creations in the world, but it has to solve a real pain point. And that pain point, I have found, although it's important that it matter for people and planet, that's at the core of what we do, but pain point for a lot of businesses, right, is to save and make more money. They're businesses. They have stakeholders, investors to respond to. They have, their core business and employees to pay. They have to make money, but they can be all together, the three: people, planet, and profit, if done right. And, we're at that unique time right now, and with what's going on in the world, all of these brands and retailers have made commitments by 2030, right, to be more sustainable. What's really interesting is that they also face exposure to significant liability with all the recent changes in the laws if they don't. Think about EPR policies, recycling laws, even tariffs and trade wars. This has massive impact on your customers and can help relieve a pain point with the solution that you're providing and help them offset that coming legal liability. One group, for those who are in New York, we are part of the Circular City NYC initiative. And that was a consortium of major enterprise businesses like H&M and Unilever and Cisco and government and a lot of non-for-profits and ourselves came together to write a white paper about what would it look like to make New York City circular in the coming years? But not just because it matters for people and planet, also because here's how many jobs are created and how much money is going to be saved and made by doing so. And when you kind of position it like that, and feel free to, check out our white paper and reach out for any more information, I think that's just one example in one city of the impact that we all can have and why this makes sense for cities to adopt, for enterprise customers, and for startups.
Oh, yes. Like snap to all of it. I think we're almost out of time over here, trying to make everything done. But one thing I really would love to, at the end, to discuss, what are our barriers right now?
Yeah. So I think if, when I first started looking at this issue of waste in Queen of Roe was back in 2008, and I was actually on Wall Street as a corporate attorney, and very similar to what we're going through today, the market crashed, right? And there was a period of darkness, of waste, of greed, of excess. And so when you're looking at what's going on in the world today, you might feel that these barriers of how is anybody going to pay for my solution? How is anybody going to pay attention to me? How can I even think of starting a business during this kind of a period of time? I will tell you that looking back on that period, which launched my trajectory in my career, and some of the greatest businesses have been built in downturns, is because they look at these challenges around, what's going on in the world, and they take that and turn it into an opportunity. And so in all the obvious challenges that everyone might be going through, how do I find funding for my startup? How do I find people to pay for my solution? How do I ship and make and consume goods in different ways and get it around the world? Take those challenges and turn them into opportunities, a way for you to build a solution or find a partner to solve that makes economic sense. And I think those are the ones that are going to innovate today and not only survive, but truly thrive tomorrow. I mean, our business has seen massive growth through COVID without spending anything additional because of what's going on. And I think for a lot of businesses, that opportunity is there. And I'm excited to follow and see their journey.
Yeah, and me and Steph can go on and on about all of these things because it's our passion. But we would love to hear from you. So, Steph, you want to put your information also in the chat? So
I will put my information in the chat, and I'll just add a little personal thing. Why do I do what I do? I'm doing what I'm doing for my 5-year-old son and my 10-month-old. I want them to have clean water to drink, right? Clothes that aren't toxic to wear and a planet to live on. And I know that together we can solve these crises. As much as fashion is quoted as being like the second, by some accounts, the second biggest polluter in the world behind oil and agriculture, which we also use. But it also means that fashion and these supply chains have the power to solve the world's water crisis and the climate crisis, right? And so for our startup, we've been tracking the metrics. We've saved well over 1 billion gallons of water to date, and we're just getting started. And I think that just shows with all of our partnerships and collaborating with each other here, everyone here talking about it, that we can and will innovate in this space to not only survive what we're all going through, but thrive tomorrow and build for that better future for our children and go change the world.
And I would love to share like beautiful stories like yours and like all the startup here on my upcoming Netflix special. So if you want to get involved, please contact me, and it will be a very great series to be seen on television. I'm really excited about that project. So thank you so much for inviting us.
Thank you.
Thank you both so much. Thank you. Your energy and passion is contagious. I hope we carry some of that with us after the event.
I hope me and her are not contagious, just influential. That word is a little sensitive at the moment.
Oh my God. Okay, thank you.
Okay, bye.
Bye. On the startup side, we have a few more pitches for you today. And first up, we have Good On You, the world's most comprehensive brand rating system and online discovery platform for fashion. They'll tell you all about how they connect conscious shoppers to fashion retailers globally.
Hi everyone, I'm Sandra Capone, co-founder of Good On You, the #1 sustainability ratings platform for fashion. It's no secret that fashion has a huge impact on the planet, and the market is demanding change. Over 50% of consumers want to make more sustainable choices, and they're putting their money where their mouth is. The pandemic has heightened consumer expectations around sustainability. Brands not taking action are facing consumer backlash and risk big losses. There's a great opportunity here for retailers to respond, but they face challenges too. Sustainability issues are complex, information is fragmented, and consumers are wary of greenwashing. Good On You solves this problem with our trusted independent brand ratings. We're the world's most comprehensive brand rating system for fashion. With our ratings technology, we empower shoppers to know the impact of brands, and we give retailers the tools to connect with the growing conscious consumer market. Since 2015, we've rated thousands of fashion brands and helped millions of consumers to buy better. The Good On You brand rating system is powered by proprietary technology. It aggregates leading industry standards and processes hundreds of data points to assess and score a brand's impact on the environment, labour, and animals. Shoppers use Good On You to check how their favourite brands rate. They can discover more sustainable alternatives with our recommendations engine and shop the latest fashion trends. Retailers use Good On You to assess their entire brand portfolio without the pain of surveying thousands of brands. They can access our ratings database to source and promote sustainable products and leverage exposure through Good On You platforms to generate sales. I come to Good On You with over 15 years business experience in supply chain management and corporate social responsibility, and my co-founder Gordon Renouf is a long-term consumer advocate. Together we lead a team with expertise in data tech, content marketing, and environmental science. Our team is supported by actress and activist Emma Watson, who uses Good On You as her benchmark for sustainable fashion. Emma also has a long-term commercial stake in our company's success. We've already rated over 3,000 brands for their impact, and we're on track to reach 10,000 by next year. Affiliate partner revenues skyrocketed since March 2020, driven by strong user growth across our 3 key markets. Enterprise clients include luxury global retailer Farfetch and buy now, pay later leader Afterpay, who use Good On You to assess, source, and market sustainable brands. Our ratings power the Farfetch Conscious Edit, which is now the fastest growing range on their entire marketplace. Having built a trusted brand and validated our business model, we're ready to capture the market. We're just about to close a seed investment round to accelerate this next development phase. With more brand ratings and sustained user and partner growth, we'll achieve network effects and maintain our competitive advantage. It's clear the sustainable fashion trend is growing faster than ever. And with Good On You's trusted ratings, there's a real opportunity for industry to step up and give customers what they're looking for. Let's collaborate to create a sustainable future in fashion. Thank you.
Everyone, please take a second to complete the poll here. And we'll transition to our next startup. We have Armadillo Verde, the #1 fashion re-commerce startup in Italy. We'll learn all about their mission to become the most recommended community-based platform for the exchange of high street fashion in Europe. Leo, please go ahead whenever you're ready.
Good morning, good afternoon. I'm going to share my screen. Okay, can you see me? Can you hear me?
Yes, looking good.
Excellent. So good morning, good afternoon. Log in from Italy, Leo Poggiali, Managing Director of Armadillo Verde. I'm going to spend the next 5 minutes to tell you about our startup. Armadillo Verde is a marketplace where users can regain value from their no longer used items with minimum effort and very quickly. You send your items that you wish to swap, and you start buying right away, thanks to our reward point system. Few numbers just to make you understand, give you an understanding of our size. We have 20,000 active customers. We have 700 followers between Italy and France. These are the two markets where we operate. We are the #1 fashion e-commerce startup in Italy, growing 2x year on year. And our user buys an average 30 items a year, spending an amount of 220 euros, roughly almost $300, a net of returns. How does it work? So you pack your clothes, the ones you don't use anymore, and we home collect for free. The items arrive at our logistics centers, they get reviewed, accepted, and you get stars for the items you have sent. And this stars goes straight into your digital wallet, and you can start buying right away, adding few euros for our service. So in the example you see in the bottom, you see Lucy. She has a pair of Levi's. She doesn't use them anymore. She spent money on it to take space on her wardrobe, and that's clearly a waste. And it's a waste also because, as we discussed today, there has been a use of energy and chemicals for the production of that item. She sends them to Armadillo Verde. They get accepted. She gets 20 stars right away on the wallet. And she goes on the platform, and adding only 9 euros, she buys a nice new dress. So why Armadillo Verde? It's very easy to create space in your wardrobe, very easy to declutter and free. And you don't need to wait for the item to be sold. We give you the coins, we give you the stars, and you can buy right now, and we take care about the rest. You save yourself the hassle of other platform, of other peer-to-peer platform. You don't need to take pictures of the items. You don't need to decide the price. You don't need to try to sell it. You don't need to answer questions from potential customers. You don't need to pack it. You don't need to ship it. You don't need to wait for the money. We took care of all that. You save money, and the 99% of what you send gets either recycled, upcycled, or given to charity. As a matter of fact, since January 1st, 2021, we are registered as a benefit corporation as well. So that's why we say that Armadillo Verde gives you the opportunity to enjoy your pre-love shopping without the stress of doing yourself, and without the stress of thinking about sustainability, because that is also covered and certified. Our customers are relatively happy. We can do better, and we are increasing our standards, but compared to other bigger platforms, we are doing pretty good, and mainly because our customers enjoy the easy to use, the engagement with the platform, and it's easy and it works. We do not share revenues, but here you see by quarter our net revenues and net returns in euros. We're growing, we're benefiting from the digital transition to online consumption and the consumer trend of secondhand and the search of sustainability. A number I can share with you that in 2020, we have sold 250,000 items, and doubling year on year. In terms of a competitive landscape, this is how we look at the picture. We have the luxury segment on the top, we have the high street fast fashion on the bottom, and then we have a peer-to-peer platform on the left, and then service platform on the right. Armadillo Verde is positioned on the right, and our true belief is that luxury and peer-to-peer were the first wave of growth, but the next wave of growth for fashion e-commerce and secondhand is actually going to be in the bottom of the pyramid, so going more into mainstream and everyday fashion, and for platforms who can take the hassle away from the peer-to-peer solutions. I'm available for any questions if I might have, or you can search for us on LinkedIn or on any social platform. And thanks again for the invite.
Thank you so much, Leo. If everyone takes a second to finish up the poll, we will move on to the next startup. We will be hearing from Eco Fashion Corp, the leading greenhouse of stylish, high quality, innovative, accessible B2B and B2C sustainable apparel and home brands. Marcy, whenever you're ready, please share your screen and take it away.
Great. Okay. Hello, everybody. I'm Marcy Zaroff. I'm founder and CEO of Eco Fashion Corp. We're a majority women-owned business with a greenhouse of brands. We have 4 verticals, all DBAs, that share core values and an operational foundation. MetaWare, our B2B platform, Yes And, our D2C brand, and Farm to Home and Seed to Style on QVC. For over 3 decades, my mission has been to give consumers what they love and seek while making a difference to human and environmental wellness and future generations. A serial entrepreneur, I've had 3 exits. I coined the term eco-fashion in 1995. I serve on several boards. I have a thought leadership column on Women's Wear Daily. I'm a Simon & Schuster published author and a documentary producer. Fashion is a $3 trillion industry and one of the world's leading causes of air and water pollution. With canceled orders and a retail implosion from COVID, the industry is in the process of a major reset. Eco Fashion Corp will address a psychographic of consumers, brands, and retailers embracing health and wellness, which is now accelerated by COVID. Eco Fashion Corp has a 25+ year head start with a fully vetted supply chain, all sustainable, and extensive networks to leverage. Sustainability is in our foundation. After just 1 full year in business, we received a Real Leaders 2021 Impact Award. Imagine what else is in store. A solution provider from farm to finished fashion, our mantra is to be affordable, accessible, and authentic. Transparency and innovation are in our DNA. With the right team, concept, and products, we are ready to scale. Our MetaWare B2B vertical offers plug-and-play, full package, private label, sustainable apparel, and home manufacturing platform. The intel inside of sustainable fashion from source to story, we make sustainability easy for our clients and partners as the engine fueling the movement. We are just kicking off a blockchain technology pilot and digital storytelling plus carbon mapping. We are scaling organic and regenerative agriculture with win-win business models as we've piloted our own cotton project in India. With a focus on soil health as a key solution to climate change, Eco Fashion Corp's work starts at the seed. With the internet and transparency changing the game, consumers are asking, who made my clothes? Our first house brand, Farm to Home, recently launched on QVC and sold out of its initial collection. I've been on air 10 times to date, and in early February, we are unveiling a gorgeous new collection, which includes Lensing Tencel. Our digitally native D2C brand, Yes And. Yes, modern style, quality, fit, color, comfort, and price, and socially and environmentally accountable. We launched a small pilot 2 weeks before COVID hit, which nearly sold out, and just brought in a new collection with over 75 eco-chic designs. QVC now sees me as the Martha Stewart of an eco lifestyle, serving as a halo in their major new long-term commitment to sustainability. During COVID, we secured a deal for a major launch of Seed to Style in inclusive sizes extra, extra small to 3XL, GOTS certified organic apparel brand. So mark your calendars to tune into QVC on January 29 from 5 to 6 p.m. Eastern. I've curated an incredible seasoned management team, all with stock options and a vested stake in our success. Our all-star advisors include Fern Malice, who founded New York Fashion Week, and Zem Joaquin of Near Future Summit. Our amazing board members are current or former senior execs from the nation's largest retailers. Since our inception in April 19, we've booked orders of nearly 5.5 million, with 1.5 million shipped in 2020 and almost 3 million more shipping in Q1 2021. We're projecting close to 100 million in sales in 5 years, and with our current traction and opportunities brewing, I'm confident we will meet our goals. Our B2B and D2C business model is unique. We are all about co-creation and have partnered with NGOs, public companies, media, and other like-minded businesses. Yes And lives at the intersection of style, price, and sustainability. Even our Yes And competition are potential MetaWare clients, turning them from competitors to collaborators. Eco Fashion Corp is raising up to $5 million in our Series A. To date, I've raised $1 million in seed convertible bridge notes from 13 qualified investors, including the Save Earth Fund. Strategic corporate partners can add value with networks for incremental B2B MetaWare business, as well as innovations we can leverage and D2C expertise and acceleration opportunities. Our funding will be used to expand our team, scale all EFC verticals, and meet our 5-year plan. So please visit our websites and social media pages and join us as we co-create a green, chic, and healthy planet so we can all wear the change we wish to see in the world. Thank you for your time, and let's connect.
Thank you so much, Marcy.
Thank you.
We'll take a second again for the poll. And we will move on to our last startup of the day. We'll be hearing from Presize. Presize lets you find the perfect clothing fit with just one turn in front of a smartphone, helping your customers get size recommendations that they actually buy and keep. Feel free to share your screen and take it away.
Great, thanks for the introduction. Can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
Awesome. So I'm Lucas from Presize. Hello, everybody. As already mentioned, we have developed a smartphone body scanning software that gives perfect size recommendation while users are shopping online. So everybody probably knows the scene. This is probably you queuing up once again on a Saturday rainy morning to bring back your clothing that didn't fit again because you bought them online. And this is actually not just very poor for you, but also for the shops because they lose their whole profit margin, and of course for the planet because these small packages and the logistics behind it, as you know, produce a lot of CO2. So we've developed an app that you don't need to download from the App Store, but opens nice and smoothly as an overlay on your PDP, on your online shop. The user just turns in front of the smartphone and we extract body measurements to give the user the perfect size recommendation for that specific brand and for that specific product. On the business side, the customer, the company gets a dashboard with unseen sizing information and learns even more about body measurements and the average user that is using the online shop. So we already have quite some traction and quite good KPIs within our project. We are able to increase the overall conversion within Presize users by 15%. People that use Presize also tend to have a higher average order value, so they buy more products or spend more in their basket. And most important, we were able to reduce the size-related returns by 25% to save a lot of CO2. Once a user gets a size recommendation and got scanned once, he gets a unique size ID, and that unique size ID can be used already on a lot of online shops wherever they want to go and go shopping. So these are most of our biggest clients. We have quite some traction in Germany and in Europe already. With Keller Sports, we already launched our first integration within an online business that is doing multi-brand. And as you can see, our numbers and the actual usage of the journey has been quite impressive in the last couple of months. So we aired mid of September on the German version of Shark Tank called Die Hülle der Löwen. And since then, the usage and the numbers of sizes that we recommended has been skyrocketed. The team behind Presize, so we have 3 founders that all met at an elite program here in Munich at the TU of Munich. Leon, Tommy, and Aves, they founded this company, and we have employees from the best universities in the world. So really, most of the people studied at TU and then went to Stanford or the MIT. The team consists of people that worked previously at Amazon and McKinsey, so we have quite some experience here. And our investors and advisors consist not only of very well-known investors like Plug and Play, but also fashion people from the industry that already know the industry quite well, like Heiko Schäfer, who is now the COO of the German brand Hugo Boss, Christina Rosenberg, who used to work at Hermes here in Germany, and Chris Brenningmeier from the C&A family. So our vision is to bring 1 billion perfectly sized garments to shoppers by 2023. And in fact, this is a win-win-win situation. Users don't need to get frustrated if the clothing didn't fit again and queue up at the post office. The shops generate a lot more revenue and can save costs. And most important for our planet, we aim to prevent 500,000 tons of CO2 by 2023. I've mentioned this size ID. We imagine this to be the new standard for online shopping. And there is tons of possibilities, not only for online shopping. With our journey, we combine best of both worlds. There are competitors outside in the market, but we use the quick sizer that gives you size recommendations only with body shape questions. So everybody probably knows this. Your belly is a little more slim or a little rounder, but we definitely also use our core technology, which is the video scan, where we use computer vision to give the perfect size recommendation. Regarding integration and getting started, we don't need any capacity from any company. Within just a few lines of code that we copy on our side and paste on the Google Tag Manager or the direct order management system directly, everything is done, and it's super. It's completely risk-free. We don't have any upfront IT costs or any costs that come before, and we only price the actual value add that we provide. So if you want to boost your online business this year in 2021, drop me a message.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Lucas, for the time. The poll is on right now if you want to be introduced to be precise. I want to thank you so much today for being here. I really appreciate your time. I want to thank you, the Plug and Play team, for making this happen, and of course, all the startups and panelists that attended. If you want to be introduced to the Plug and Play team, we would love to learn about your project and work with you. So just use the QR code by putting your phone in front of your screen, and you should be connected to us right away. Don't hesitate to reach out to us directly as well via email. Again, thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your day or evening, and we hope to hear from you soon. Thank you. Check out our website as well. Thank you.